because that's how we think that's some bitch.
That's all right. Just up it quietly and said 6-1.
Just out there. Yeah, you're the quietest 6-1. Welcome to another episode of the Revolution Fantasy Edition for Week 7. Now, we're going to start with the Week 7 scores. First up is the Cucamonga Cracker Killers, who have ironically destroyed the Alabama Crackheads. The top score for the Cracker Killers is Jameis Winston with 23 points, while the Crackheads have a pretty even low score for everyone. Highest score was 9 points by Jordan Howard with 39 yards and 1 touchdown.
Up next, we got the San Jose Party Foulers taking on the San Francisco Shabooms. With the Shabooms laying a shellacking on the Party Foulers, 170-82. With Tom Brady being the highest scorer, 23 points with 277 yards and 3 touchdowns and interception, where Patrick Mahomes was the highest scorer for the Shabooms with 358 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception.
The Reservoir Dogs are back to their winning ways with so far 88 points to the Sack King Trolls 65. The Sack King Trolls' highest scorer is T.Y. Hilton with 4 receptions, 25 yards, 2 touchdowns, while Emmanuel Sanders is holding it down with 23 points, 6 receptions, 102 yards. Tevin Coleman still has to go on Monday night.
94th and Jacob Mobsters is taking on the Flying Graysons, with the Mobsters leading by 20, 84-64. Both teams have at least one player going Monday night, with Julio Jones going for the Flying Graysons and Evan Ingram going for the New York Giants. So we'll see who the highest scorer after Monday night. Currently, for the Flying Graysons, Andrew Luck is the highest scorer with 23 points with 156 yards and 4 TDs. And Todd Gurley, always the workhorse for the Mobsters, with 27 points with 63 yards and 3 total touchdowns for today.
The South Hayward Alfredo Pollos have a 12-point lead so far, with leading the way Mitchell Trubisky, 34 points, 333 yards, 3 total touchdowns. The C Plus has 80 points, with Kirk Cousins out there with 18 points, and everyone else actually pretty even with over 10 points mostly. Second, there's Alshon Jeffrey with 7 receptions, 88 yards, and a touchdown. Very even, but still behind. Both teams still have one player each on Monday night, both from the Giants. So that's going to be a very interesting game to watch.
Oh, yes. Up next, we have the game of the week with the Nightman taking on the Hayward Huff and Puffs. At one point, the Hayward Huff and Puffs were leading 71-33. That point lead quickly evaporated when the Nightman came roaring back and claimed victory 96-90 against the Hayward Huff and Puffs, with Lamar Miller being the highest scorer for the Huff and Puffs, 18 points, 100 yards, and a touchdown. As for the Nightmen, their defense came through for them, giving them 24 points with 2 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries, a safety, a block punt, 10 points allowed, and 7 sacks.
All right, it's time for this week's Best and Worst Player of the Week. I have the good with running back from the Kansas City, Kareem Hunt, with 86 rushing yards, but 141 all-purpose yards. 3 total touchdowns for 32 points.
Up next, we got my wide receiver, Jermaine Kearse, with 0 points. I mean, they did not throw to him at all. I mean, they tried, but he just wasn't getting open to catch the ball. So he gave me a big fat 0, but he contributed to the win.
Because more points than the baby plus 0 is more points than the baby.
Plus 0.
All right, now it's time for that motherfucker that helped no one. This week, I have chosen tight end from Baltimore, Mark Andrews, who came in with 1 measly reception for 8 yards, but it was a gosh darn touchdown for 6 points. That motherfucker helped nobody.
And I have Terrell Williams with 4 receptions, 118 yards, and a touchdown, giving him 19 points. And that motherfucker helped nobody.
All right, this week, we have a fun one for all over that bench. I would like to personally nominate my own team defense for my own dumbass decision making, for my own dumbass terrible uh data plan from T-Mobile. That's my own gosh darn fault that Denver decided to show up. They right off the bat scored 2 touchdowns. They had 2 fumbles. They had 3 interceptions. They allowed 10 points for a whopping 33 points on defense. It happens, but it's almost unheard of. It does happen, but this week it happened all over that bench.
Man,
Anthony, what do you got?
I got my opponent, the Huff and Puffs, with their running back, Carry-On Johnson, with 19 points. How many did he have?
158.
He had 158 rushing yards and a touchdown?
No, just 158.
Just 158 yards. Wow. All over that bench. That could have helped you up hugely.
It's 19
today.
points.
19 points.
That would have been real helpful.
You could have been up a lot.
But unfortunately,
you're not. It's all over that bench with Carry-On Johnson, 19 points. How do you feel about it? Open segment. What do you want to talk about?
Anthony, these motherfucking Raiders. Now, there's one thing that we could sort of say. They didn't. Okay, not they didn't lose, but an NFL team did not beat the Oakland Raiders in Week 7.
That's right.
That much is true.
It's very true.
Here in the Revolution, where we split hairs. As obviously,
we're splitting all kinds of hairs.
All kinds of hairs, because these fucking Raiders.
I mean, John Gruden just wants to. Seems like he just wants to trade all of Reggie McKenzie's picks.
He wants to trade everyone. I think he's going to clean house.
Yeah, he's definitely clean house.
And actually, there was a very interesting thing he said on a press conference where he just came out and he said, "I'm not losing on purpose."
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah, he said, "We're not losing on purpose. Who wakes up at 4 a.m. to lose on purpose?" I'm like, yeah, that's true.
So, however, it's one of those things where if you're saying it out loud, it makes me think that, yeah, you're trying to lose on purpose. That's exactly what's going on here. You're losing on purpose. You're trying to get a number 1 pick for everyone. No one's going to give you a number 1 pick for Amari Cooper. No one's going to give you a number 1 pick for, the other defensive back that they have?
Clooney.
No one's going to give you a number 1 pick for that.
Yeah.
It sounds like he's trying to load up on all these number 1 picks. Does he expect that in 2020, in April, he's going to go in there and, draft 4 guys in the first round? Because it sounds like that's what he thinks he's going to do, which I think is horrible planning. And it makes me think that maybe he's not as savvy as he's making it out to be. Because if your plan is to load your team with a bunch of first rounders, well, guess what, bud? That is it's not the dumbest idea, because it makes so much, to me, it makes so much sense that it's just dumb.
Yeah. It's
just the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You're trying to load up your team for Vegas. So we're at forget Oakland. You don't even care. So I'm gonna move forward with the impression that you're losing on purpose. I didn't think that I would come to a time where I would accuse a team of tanking in the NFL. Basketball, sure. Baseball, all the time. All the time. But football, there's only 16 games.
That's right.
And the contracts are not guaranteed. So there's a lot of pride involved. So it's very hard for a team to do that. Or, to successfully do it in a way that doesn't look, because the players, they want to play hard because they don't, if they suck, then that means that they're probably not going to get a next contract. So they're always playing for the next contract. So it's hard for the players to do it. But systematically, I think a coach can, especially when you're making all these dumbass moves.
Highly questionable moves, man.
Extremely questionable. Trading Khalil Mack, who again is having an amazing, amazing season. Um, Extremely productive. Way better than the entire Raider defense as a whole. He's just doing his thing.
That's right.
The Chicago Max, they're pretty good. All right, but back on topic. John Gruden doesn't know what the hell he's doing, and I think he's like one of those guys that he thinks he's a mastermind, and he has like this plan, and he's just like,
It's all according to plan.
it's all going according to plan.
It's
Exactly.
all according to plan. I'm like, okay.
I feel like I think he's the brain, but really is Pinky. I don't think he's gonna take over anything. Uh, he is getting rid of all the solid players. I mean, at some point, if you're a good coach, you're gonna use the good players that you already have.
Right.
What kind of nonsense pride like do you have where you're just gonna get rid of good players just so you can look better and say that no? Well, I do have a theory. I have a theory because I think that he's doing this because when he won that Super Bowl in Tampa, everyone always said, "Oh, well, that was Tony Dungy's team."
That's true.
Everywhere he goes, if you bring up the Super Bowl, it's oh well, those weren't his players. That wasn't his team. Which is, I mean, I don't know. I'm throwing poop on the wall, see if it sticks, because that is the only thing that I can think of as why he would just be doing such a revamp of what was already a really good roster, at least on paper, and it was 12-4 for one season at least.
And he was also going against his former offense. So, I mean, Bill Callahan pretty much took over John Gruden's team. John Gruden knew exactly what plays they were going to play, and he basically told the defense, "Hey, they're going to run this, so we're going to defend it like this."
On I believe all and every single play.
Yes,
So they knew
exactly.
they knew exactly because that was a runaway. That was a runaway.
Where the ball's going to be every time.
So I'm gonna go ahead and segue this because they are just building up a lot of bad karma with me, and some would say the city. There is talk. Odds are probably not as serious as a lot of people would like it to be, but it has caught enough wind where we're gonna talk about it. I understand that the city is gonna try to sue the Oakland Raiders. No, so there's different lawsuits that are going on. There's one going on over the rent the Raiders have. They don't have a lease where to play in 2019. So there's all sorts of things of where they could do. Some would say, oh, they can play at Berkeley. They're not gonna play at Levi's. You can throw that out the window. They've thrown out other stadiums and other things. But the one that I find the most interesting is suing them for the colors and the logo and essentially the history of the Oakland Raiders. Which, okay, number one, I think it's sort of unlikely, but it would be hilarious.
I mean, it has happened before for the Browns, the Cleveland Browns.
The Cleveland Browns, yeah, that's true.
When who was it? The Colts.
The Colts left Baltimore, and then Baltimore had nothing. So
Cleveland went to Baltimore.
Yeah, Cleveland went to Baltimore, and the old Browns.
Yeah, the old Browns. Cleveland, the city itself, kept the Browns name and the logo,
the history and the colors.
The history and the colors, and when the former Browns moved to Baltimore, that's when they became the Ravens.
And that was a completely new team.
Yeah.
With a new history that was made up of the players from the old team with old history.
That's right. That's right. And then what? In the early 2000s, late 90s, the Cleveland Browns made a comeback.
I think they came back in '99.
That's right.
Drew Carey was heavily involved.
That's right. Well, who was it? Tim Couch as the quarterback?
Tim Couch. Oh, number 2.
Took them to the what is it? The postseason,
Yeah, the
the AFC Championship game, I think.
one random time they went like 10-6.
All right,
Yeah.
yeah, got beaten out by Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's almost like weird to say. Hey, the Browns. Remember the Browns went 10-6,
That's right.
and then you was like, "Shut up, you liar."
No, it
No, no,
happened.
it happened. It's totally real.
Yeah, it's in the history books.
It's real.
Look it up.
They did nothing with it, but it totally happened. It totally happened. Okay, so we're gonna go and pretend that it takes full sale. We're gonna pretend that it's gonna probably might should happen. We're gonna play the what if game because I think it would just be hilariously fun because I hear that, as you know, LA has gone from no teams to suddenly they have tons of teams. They have the Rams, they have the Chargers, and we're just gonna go ahead and give the southern part of that state sort of to Las Vegas because it's less than a 2-hour drive. So I mean,
That's right.
you say basically you get in your car, you listen to a couple Grateful Dead albums, and you're already there,
That's right.
and it's done. So we're gonna call that an oversaturation of football. And the Chargers just they're not drawing. They don't draw. Uh, what if the off chance that the Raiders, personnel teams, that team leaves for Vegas and they become the Vegas fuck offs? Just fuck offs.
Yeah, just fuck off.
Fuck it. And now we have a team that nobody wants in Los Angeles. Nobody wants the Chargers in LA. Nobody even know. We can talk days on why they're even there, but they're there. Nobody wants them. I argue to bring the Los Angeles Charger roster, team, executives, everyone, bring them to Oakland. Ironically, have them become the new Oakland Raiders and have Philip Rivers end his career as an Oakland Raider. And I think it'll be hilarious. I think it'll make a lot of Raider fans happy. You're killing the Chargers.
Right.
You're taking Philip Rivers. And just the irony of it is freaking hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Is
So much
freaking hilarious.
So much irony in it.
And then the old Raiders can go fucking be whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, they can be the fuck offs.
They can be the fucking Vegas fuck offs.
The LV fuck offs.
And that would be hilarious to me.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I'll be down with that. I'll be down with that move. Hell yeah.
Well, but on a realistic conversation topic, they still don't have a place to play.
That's true. Playing Carson.
I think like the most likely scenario will actually be the reverse of the entire scenario that we just drew out. Would be what if the Oakland Raiders went and they played at Qualcomm down in San Diego?
They were thinking about it.
The stadium is ready.
Yeah.
The stadium is
pretty much vacant right now.
It's vacant. It's it's obviously it's old, but it's still a viable, it's still a properly working football stadium, and it's ready to go. The city will do it.
Yeah.
Would they be the San Diego Raiders or the Oakland Raiders of San Diego and take a little page from the Angels?
Or they might just not say where they're playing and just be like, we're the Raiders.
Or just be the Raiders.
Yeah, the Raiders should just be the Raiders.
Be the Golden State Raiders. The Golden State Raiders.
No. That's a disrespect to the Golden State Warriors.
Hey. Well, don't forget, the Golden State Warriors also played some random games in San Diego.
Yeah.
They played in San Jose. They played in the Cow Palace. They played at
because they were
Oracle. But it was called something else before then.
Yeah, I think they were playing at arenas where they thought they were going to be at. I heard at one time, like in '95 or '98, the Warriors were going to try to move to the SAP
Oh,
Center
see,
in
yeah.
San Jose, and they
So,
did. And they did play. They when they first came here, they did play first in Cal Palace, in San
or
Francisco.
yeah, or hey, let's have a carousel of stadiums for the Raiders because nobody wants them. They don't know where they want to go. They just know that they don't want to show up to the new house just
Hey,
yet.
I mean, it fits perfect. They don't have to put the city where they're at. Just be like,
Yeah,
oh, the Raiders.
just the Raiders.
Yeah,
That's
we're the
true.
Raiders.
I mean, the logo doesn't have to change because the logo just says
Yeah, the Raiders.
Raiders.
Exactly.
Well, in the East Bay, it's all dark and gloomy, but the other side of the bay is just as gloomy. Just as gloomy. So it's kind of odd because, you say that, but the team plays in the South, but they keep saying over there, but really they're here.
Right.
Hey, but at least the house is nice. At least the house is nice. Nice enough to offer no home field advantage.
I mean, it's a nice house with empty seats, dude.
Yeah, it's a nice house with empty seats. They got destroyed
Sure did.
today, 39-10 by the Los Angeles Rams. So they are 1-6. The Raiders are 1-5. So that looks like the 49ers are half a game in the lead for the number 1 pick.
Oh man, don't worry. The Raiders are
That's,
right there. I mean, because
Well, I mean, they still got a head to head.
I mean, the
Still got
Raiders
head-to-head.
Raiders pretty much lost in the bye week, so you might as well just give them 1-6 right now.
1-6 right now.
Just give them 1-6 right now.
Mm.
They'll lose next week. So
Raiders 14 by week 35.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right. They'll lose next week, so they'll be 1-8 or 1-7.
1-7. Yeah, that's just
Not 1-8, 1-7. Yeah, just give them the other loss too. 1-8. Fuck it.
So yeah, they're terrible. They're getting destroyed on the road. They're losing pretty bad at home. Pierre Garcon, I'm counting. It's 17 games without a touchdown. I will remind you, prior to signing a contract with San Francisco, he was catching a touchdown every 15 catches. It has been 17 games. And I'm going to keep bringing it up.
Well, I mean,
because we're going to rip him.
Who was his quarterback during that time?
In Washington,
Oh,
it was
Washington?
Kirk Cousins.
There you go.
It was Kirk Cousins.
I mean, you can't really blame him because he doesn't really have a quarterback throwing.
No, F that. I blame him because his contract says I get to blame him.
His contract says it.
His contract is huge.
It's in the fine print.
It's in the fine print. It says if you're going to get over $40 million, that means I get to talk shit.
Fair enough.
So,
This is Zeus Claus.
Pierre Boy, hurry up and catch a touchdown. George Kittle cannot beat all these teams on his own. Because gosh darn it, he is trying. And who would have thought that the bright spot on this offense is in fact the tight end, which is nice. You just don't want that to be the case.
Right.
You just don't want that to be the case in your offense. Because even in the one of the the highest power offenses, let's just take Kansas City for example. They have an excellent tight end, but he's still the number 3, number 4 option.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's the second most talented player, but he's still 3rd, 4th, target, if that. And also because he's a hell of a blocker. That guy is huge.
He can definitely block.
That guy is huge.
Rush block, pass block.
And I guess the only thing that I could say that's positive at all would be that they're at least entertaining. They're a lot more entertaining, which kind of brings up the question about them getting flexed out of Sunday night. Because I gotta tell you, I'm not angry that they got flexed. That shit happens. My issue comes with the game that you flexed it with. You put in Kansas City because you're in love with Patrick Mahomes.
Mahomes.
Mahomes. Because the NFL's in love with Patrick Mahomes because he's been great. Fine. But you still took off the number one team in the NFL off of Sunday night because their opponent was one in whatever, because only one game. Fine. And they don't, and you know, because Garoppolo went down and they don't have a big time quarterback that the NFL likes
Right.
to be on prime time. Because Nick Foles would have still been trash. Are you freaking joking? If you bring Nick Foles, you're still bringing him to a brand new team, a brand new offense. He's gonna suck. You're still better off with CJ Beathard if you want to win the game.
Right.
But it didn't matter. They weren't gonna win this game. But the Rams have a way better defense, infinitely better defense. I mean, literally, they're on opposite side of the spectrum. So the Los Angeles Rams are still a way better draw on a Sunday night than are the Kansas City Chiefs. Just for that fact, they're a better team overall. And say what you want, the Cincinnati Bengals are trash. Andy Dalton is trash. Marvin Lewis is trash. Everyone involved with the Cincinnati Bengals is trash. They are one of the worst ran organizations. But the only reason I'm even bringing that up is because they're terrible. They're terrible. Even if they have a slightly better record, which it's not that much better by that much, they're not an entertaining team. And when they lose in spectacular fashion. They got absolutely rocked. 45, was it 45-10?
45-10.
45-10. So even if we go on score alone, 45-10 to 39-10, you still technically got a better game with San Francisco. And at least that game was not that it wasn't competitive, but the points didn't pile on so fast, so quickly, which is what made this Sunday night game unwatchable. It was unwatchable. And then I'm just like, well, the NFL purposely did that.
They did.
They said, we're going to put this game because we know more. You put on a trash game.
Put on a trash product.
And I could have told you that it was a trash game. Who wants to watch the Cincinnati Bengals?
Apparently the people in Cincinnati do.
But you wanted to see Patrick Mahomes. And fine, he threw the ball and the players around him lit it up. And boy,
they lit it up.
Boy, did they lit it. Oh, God. They put up a ton of points. Their defense was, it's smokes and mirrors, man. It seemed like they did really well. But again, the Bengals are trash. No one is more smoke and mirrors, actually, than the Cincinnati Bengals. Andy Dalton has pretended to be a good quarterback time and time again. And then we all keep falling for it. Every other year, someone keeps saying, Andy Dalton, this is his year. He's going to do it. And even if he does bring them to the playoffs, they're going to lose in the first round. Because that's what the Bengals do.
That's what they do. That's what they're known for.
I mean, do you remember what decade that the last time that the Bengals won a playoff game?
Oh, shoot, man.
Well, I was very vague because I just know it was in the early 90s. It was in the early 90s. They've done absolutely nothing
since.
And I'm blaming Marvin Lewis. If you want to play well, you should fire Marvin Lewis.
Get that guy out of there.
That guy out of there. He's been there for like 15 years at least. And that's just, I'm lowballing my guess. So again, they're switching games for games that are more unwatchable. And I'm not even like saying it for the 49ers' sake. I'm going every ounce of my being. I'm essentially defending the Los Angeles Rams.
Pretty much.
The Rams had no business playing on
Sunday afternoon.
regular TV. They
Yeah.
had no business being on CBS.
No, they didn't.
They had no business playing on regular television when they were slotted for prime time. I think the Niners should have played the game because, read the coattails. Fuck it. Might as well be on prime time.
Right.
And also, they just, it was also Dwight Clark Day. And they had a whole thing planned out. And obviously, talent is always going to win over 90% of the time. But I think just having that game at that time, under the lights, at nighttime, it would have probably brought more, players at home play better in primetime games. So I think they would have played better. I still think they would have probably lost, and it would have been very likely that would have been pretty bad. However, I think it would have been a more entertaining game.
Yeah.
But again,
What
they're not exactly proving my case by getting rocked. They're not exactly proving my point.
No.
But they were up there with the Packers, but again, their defense isn't as good by a lot.
Yeah, I think
compared.
Yeah, I think the Niners would have made it at least a bit more competitive on prime time because they have shown in the past that they can be competitive on prime time, especially Monday night.
Yeah. So we're at the point where we're acknowledging that both teams suck, and every week we're going to talk about the inevitable November 1st Thursday night matchup. Battle of the shits, and you can't flex this one, baby. This is on Thursday night, and this one's happening.
It's going down.
I'm still pushing for my trash barge, from each side of the bay. Just and just decide, because that's we're deciding the number one pick, baby. This is it. I have no idea who's gonna be in the draft, and it's probably one of those drafts where there's no one worth sucking for.
Looks like our director wants to chime in.
Just a quick question.
Chime in.
What would you do? Let's just say the game ends in a tie. Where would we be at then? Who's gonna pick first?
If the game ends in a tie, we are going to flip a motherfucking coin
It has been done
for the
before.
number one pick, just like we did for the 9 and 10 or 7 and 9.
Or was it 7 and 9 or 7 and 8?
Well, this last time they picked consecutively and they just flipped the coin,
Yeah.
which would be the likely case, mostly because one's an AFC team and one's an NFC team, and then all the tiebreakers that decide who gets what pick kind of trickles down, and they all just cancel each other out. But just to make it simple terms, it all cancels out, and then you basically end up at a coin flip,
Pretty much.
which is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. You might as well use like a 20-sided die and be like, evens are one and
I know,
odds are
right?
the other. Like
Pretty much.
a coin.
Talk about leaving it up to fate. That's leaving it up to fate.
And if anyone's ever seen, they actually do a whole little ceremony on this coin flip. They always have this nice. It's not even a quarter. It's a big, huge coin. And then they always like go through the trouble of making this nice coin. It has the logo of one team on one side and the other one. So no one gets to call anything. You can't be like heads. Yeah, fuck. I meant tails. No. Some random dude just goes and then he flips the coin, but it's like so big that you're not flipping the coin. They're more or less tossing this coin. So, and then it's so big, but they're like, it's the first time I saw it, it didn't even flip. It just went like this and it flipped like once and then just fell down. And I was like, that's not a real coin.
That's not a flip.
That doesn't count. Do it again.
All right, do over.
Do it again.
Do over.
You gotta like literally like, get a good wrist motion and just pivot that shit. Anyway.
Pivot.
So that is how that's done. And that is what would happen. And the more and more the closer and closer the game becomes, the more and more I think that's actually likely going to happen. I think they both suck so hard that they might just tie. And the Browns might come in. It might be a 3-way tie because
I know, right?
though the Browns, oh my God, they didn't tie, but it went into overtime again.
Yet again.
And we are going to start taking stats on this because I have never seen a team go into so many overtimes. But it's not even like at any point do you actually feel like the Browns are going to like turn the corner or anything. Like, I think it's more of they're playing all these games and the games are close, not because they're playing well, because all these other teams are playing down to the Brown level. Like they're all just
I know, right?
they're just playing so shitty that they just end up going into overtime because they just can't get it done. Because on paper, there's 31 teams that'll destroy the Browns. That is a fact. Keep sticking around because the other teams keep sucking when they play the Browns. God, I want the Browns to go 0-16. That's
They did last year.
I mean 0 wins, 0 losses, 16 ties.
16 ties.
16 ties.
That's right. That'd be awesome.
And I actually did the math once. A team that goes 0-16 has very, very, very small chance of taking a division if they tie them and then they lose more games. And then if every team has 8 losses and these dudes go 0-16, then they have literally tied because they have no losses. They have 8 less losses than those teams, but they have 8 less wins. But they have all these half of points from the ties that they fucking take it.
That's right.
That they fucking take it. Now, the odds of winning the Mega Millions for $1 billion. Yeah, say that again. $1 billion for the Mega Millions. You have a better odds of winning that. But it would be fun.
It would be fun.
And that math was long.
Hell yeah.
Number 1 pick, baby.
That's right.
And they're going to fuck it up by picking a tackle, I'm sure. Whoever the fuck gets it. It is time for the Monday night preview.
Oh, yeah.
We have the New York Giants at the Atlanta Falcons. In this game, the Falcons are favored to win by 4 points. The over-under on this is 53. So they're thinking that there's going to be a lot of points to be had. They're thinking it's going to be not a close game, but a solid game because a close game, you would get 3. But the fact that they're getting 4 points means that they think that the Giants are gonna make some noise and they're gonna put up some points. I agree. I think that it will be a high scoring game. I think there's just too much talent on the field on both sides. Each team has some very high potent weapons. Right. Both on the ground and in the air. However, both of these teams do have the same flaw. They have a double-edged quarterback because both of these quarterbacks can just outright sling it, and they have the weapons to get it done. Eli, he has shown that he can throw it. He has thrown it. He has Odell Beckham Jr., who is a beast with a new contract. That's right. But hopefully he's still hungry. I know he likes pizza. Pizza he likes for sure. Well, on the other side, Matt Ryan has Julio Jones. So they both have like these weapons that I keep talking about. However, they both also have the same chance of shooting themselves in the foot. How many times have we seen Matt Ryan throw for 500 yards one week and then come back the next week, throw for 110 and, 3 interceptions, and that's it? He's done that countless times. How many times has Eli Manning gone out there and throwing for 90 yards, 2 interceptions, and he's out there making gush faces. That happens more often than I like to remember. It happens so often that I don't know why the New York Giants don't get flexed out. Oh wait, I know it's because the NFL headquarters is in New York.
That's right.
But I digress. Back to the game at hand. Monday Night Football, New York Giants at the Atlanta Falcons. They both have the quarterback that can throw it a lot, that can throw it far, that can throw it for many touchdowns, that can throw it for many interceptions. And you never know who you're going to get. Mostly good, but when it's bad, it's bad.
It's terrible.
However, after ripping them, I think both of these teams are going to play well. I think they're going to throw it all around. I think it's going to come down to the end. I think that the Atlanta Falcons are going to come from behind and win by a touchdown, or win by a touchdown, 37-30. Giants will lose in dramatic fashion because Eli is going to screw it up. I think that it's going to come down to Eli getting that last drive, and they're going to get close, and then he's just going to throw that pick that is coming. And the Atlanta Falcons are going to win this game. Not comfortably, but they will win this game. They will cover. They will go over. Atlanta Falcons. Anthony, who do you have?
Ooh, man, that's a good one. Let's see, Atlanta or the Giants of New York's football? I would have to go with I want to go with the Giants. I think Barkley's gonna run all over the Falcons because the Falcons don't have that good of a defense. I think the New York's defense will shut down Atlanta's wideouts, especially Julio Jones. I think Mohamed Sanu will find ways to get like at least 100 yards close to it. So
Sanu is no longer a sneaky. He's no longer a sneaky guy. I am no longer surprised when he puts up those numbers.
yeah, I mean it's like almost expected, kind of like with his partner Julio Jones. But they were more worried about Julio Jones than Mohamed Sanu. So I think the Giants will win 45-30.
Taking the over.
Taking the over.
I like it. See you in week 8.